So when you think of the Portland Timbers, you probably picture a modern MLS team, right? With the passionate fans, the smoke, the chainsaws. But what if I told you their real story is so much older? It's this incredible legacy that was born, completely vanished, and then spectacularly reborn.
On paper, yeah, the club we know and love today was founded in 2009. But for the fans, for the city of Portland, the green and gold, the axe, the name, Timbers, that identity is way, way older. It's a feeling, a tradition that's basically woven into the fabric of the city itself.
So that's the big question, isn't it? How does a team that started in 2009 feel like it has a 40-year history? It's not a trick. The answer is actually this fascinating concept that explains everything. They are what's known as a phoenix club. And just like the mythical bird, the Timbers have risen from the ashes, not just once, but multiple times. The team you see on the field today is actually the fourth version to carry that name, with each one passing the torch of that original legacy.
So to really understand the present, we've got to go back to the very beginning. Let's rewind the clock to 1975, when the seed of Soccer City, USA was first planted.
I mean, just look at how fast this all happened. A few years after soccer really started gaining some traction in the US, the original Timbers just burst onto the scene in 1975. And they didn't just show up. They went all the way to the league championship in their very first year. Talk about making an entrance.
And you know, that electrifying first season wasn't just a fluke. It was the spark that lit a fire. Portland didn't just get a winning team. It embraced a whole new identity. Soccer City USA wasn't some marketing slogan somebody came up with. It was a real grassroots movement.
And this quote from Mick Hoban, who was the team's very first player signing, well, it reveals the secret sauce. It wasn't just about winning games. The players were actually out in the community, building real relationships with fans in a way that was pretty much unheard of for pro athletes back then.
And when he says interactive, he really means it. In just 3 years, the team ran nearly 1,000 community events and clinics. 1,000! That's not just a team. That's a pillar of the community, right there.
Okay, let's jump to the modern era and see how this all comes together. After years in the lower divisions, the dream of returning to top-flight soccer was alive and well. But the fight to actually get into Major League Soccer, well, that was a massive undertaking.
But here's the reality check. Passion and history don't pay the bills. MLS had a long list of requirements, and the biggest hurdle, the real sticking point, was the stadium. PGE Park was historic, sure, but it just wasn't ready for modern top-tier soccer.
First up, the entry fee. Just to be considered, owner Merritt Paulson had to be ready to write a check for $40 million.
And that was just the start. The really heavy lift? Getting the city to commit $85 million in public funds to renovate the stadium and build a whole new ballpark for the local baseball team. This wasn't just a business deal. This was a massive civic project. But they pulled it off. On March 20th, 2009, the dream became a reality. The commissioner, Don Garber, officially announced that the Portland Timbers were back in the big time.
And once they arrived, they didn't just take part, they competed. The next decade was just this whirlwind of high-stakes drama and some absolutely incredible achievements.
And they really didn't waste any time. By 2013, which was just their third year in the league, they weren't just a playoff team. They were the best in the West. They had arrived.
But that was just the appetizer. 2 years later, in 2015, they reached the summit. They won the MLS Cup, bringing the league's biggest prize to the Pacific Northwest for the very first time. The dream was complete. And even in that strange, bubble season of 2020, they found a way to win. They conquered the MLS's back tournament, which really proved that their championship DNA was for real.
And the winning didn't stop. In 2021, they were back on top of the West and in the MLS Cup final once again. This was no one-hit wonder. This was a powerhouse.
But trophies are only part of the story. To truly understand the Timbers, you have to understand where they live and, more importantly, who their neighbors are.
This is where the soul of the club really lives. The Timbers' identity is forged in the fire of their rivalries with their Pacific Northwest neighbors, the Seattle Sounders and the Vancouver Whitecaps. These aren't just games. They're battles for regional pride. And think about this. The passion is so real that the fans created their own trophy. The league didn't invent the Cascadia Cup. The supporters of Portland, Seattle, and Vancouver did it themselves. It's a symbol of one of the most organic and intense rivalries in all of American sports. So in the end, what really defines a club? Is it just a date on the official paperwork, or is it the passion, the memories, and the identity that gets passed down from one generation of fans to the next? The story of the Portland Timbers kinda suggests it's the latter.